Greetings ladies and gentlemen, Zoop here with a tutorial on how to use your aircraft carrier squadrons in the new carrier rework going live in 8.0. I'm going to cover each of the squadron types: fighters, torpedo bombers, and dive bombers. I'm also going to cover consumables that squadrons might have as well. Selecting a squadron type is simple enough. Choose the number that is assigned to your squadron type, hit it twice, and you're airborne. Once in the air, controls could not be more simple. A and D maneuver left and right, with the mouse making smaller precision movements, which come in handy for attack runs. W uses your squadron's speed boost to momentarily increase speed, while S will also use your speed boost to slow your squadron down. Before we talk about the different squadrons, let's start with your consumables. On the left side of your heads-up display, you'll find the gauge for your engine boost. A green indicator bar will appear when you use the W or S key to activate your boost, and it will deplete. When it hits bottom, you'll get an audio indicator. Using the boost consumable fills it to max, and you're free to speed on your way to your target, or slow down if that's what you need to do. Speed boosting can be very essential and comes in handy navigating away from cruisers that manage to catch you in their AA aura. At the bottom of the screen, you'll find an indicator bar that shows the health of your planes. Green is good, orange means you've taken damage, and red is critical. If your squadron has a health boost available to it, and you find much of your squadron in the orange or red, you can use it to replenish your squadron's hit points. This comes in handy during torpedo runs. Now, let's take a look at each squadron type. First are your fighter squadrons. It doesn't get easier than these. You have an aiming reticle that indicates where your rockets will land. To start an attack run, you press the left mouse button. This will start your attack run for each squadron type. Once you start your attack run, the indicator will shrink smaller and smaller, making your aim more precise. You have a timer that shows how much time is left on your attack run. Once it depletes, your planes will pull out of the attack. To launch your rockets, you hit the left mouse button again, and again this holds true for each squadron type. Your fighters are great for harassing destroyers at a moment's notice. The rockets are reasonably good at starting fires, and don't discount the ability of the rockets to inflict a large amount of damage if you have the time to set up an attack run and get your reticle as small and precise as possible. Once you've exhausted all your attack runs, depending on the size of your squadron, or if you decide you want to use a different squadron type, hit F to go back to the carrier and send the remaining planes back, if there are any. Next up are your torpedo bomber squadrons. This is the bread and butter for most aircraft carrier players. Attack runs begin with a wide cone for your torpedo drop spread. The longer you're in an attack run, the narrower the cone will get, and the more accurate your drop will be. The cone varies on each carrier depending on how many planes drop at one time. Once in your attack run, don't use the A and D keys if you can avoid it. This is where the small precision adjustments of moving your mouse really shine. It'll take some time to learn each individual carrier's drop cones and how far out you should start your attack run. Generally, 8 kilometers is a good starting point. In your torpedo cone, you'll see green and yellow. You want to drop in green. If you drop in yellow, your torpedoes won't arm and they won't damage the enemy. Ideally, you want to wait until the last possible moment to drop your torpedoes, just before the green meets the yellow. This will usually ensure that at least a few torpedoes will hit, provided you lead your enemy enough. A good starting point is to put the cones right in front of the enemy ship, though speed of the enemy will affect this. Also, enemy aircraft will affect your cone, just as it did in the previous version of aircraft carriers. If you start an attack run and take excessive damage, don't be afraid to use that health consumable. Our last squadron type is your dive bomber squadron, and surprisingly, these might be even more challenging to land correctly than torpedo runs. Despite this, they also have the ability to do massive damage. You have two bomber types, AP and HE. HE will cause saturation damage and fires. AP will cause massive damage through citadel hits. When you start your attack run, your planes will ascend before starting a dive that levels out at near sea level. The challenging part of this, though, is that if you drop your bombs too early in your dive, they'll likely miss. If you drop them too late, they'll ricochet or overpenetrate. This is more true with your AP, and the happy medium for dropping seems to be halfway into the dive. This will take practice though, so don't expect to master it right away. It can be very tricky. I've come to learn that starting your attack run when your reticle is just above a ship is good practice, because your actual aiming reticle will start below the ship, and if you're chasing it, it will lead upwards towards it. HE bombs are a much more simple affair and will cause fires regardless of which height they are dropped at. Anyhow, those are the 3 types of squadrons. That's how to use them, the controls, and everything you might need to know to get started. Hope this guide helps you on your way to learning the new version of aircraft carriers. They have a different feel and function. Despite this, they still have the potential to help your team through spotting, cap resetting, and harassing enemy ships. Thanks for watching. Zoop out.